You know what the most exhausting thing in the world is? It's not hard work. It's not failure. It's living inside your own head, going in circles, trying to make a decision, and never landing anywhere. Maybe it's a career move you've been sitting on for months. Maybe it's a relationship you can't figure out. Maybe it's something as simple as, should I say yes to this or no? And you find yourself doing what most of us do. You make a list of pros and cons. You ask your friends. You search for answers online. You sleep on it. You wake up, and you're still stuck. Here's what I want to offer you today. Not a trick, not a hack, but a compass. One that has been used by kings, philosophers, soldiers, and saints for thousands of years to cut through confusion and act with clarity. It's called values-based decision-making. And by the end of this video, you will never make a hard decision the same way again. Psychologists have a name for what happens when we face a choice with too many variables. They call it analysis paralysis. Barry Schwartz, in his landmark research, The Paradox of Choice, found that more options don't make us freer. They make us more anxious, more regretful, and less satisfied with whatever we choose. We were built, neurologically, to resolve uncertainty fast. When the ancient mind couldn't decide, it froze. And freezing in the wild got you killed. But in modern life, that same freeze response shows up as scrolling instead of starting. As saying, I need more time, when really, we're just afraid to be wrong. But here's the deeper truth that most productivity advice misses. We don't overthink because we're confused. We overthink because we're disconnected. Disconnected from something deep inside us that already knows the answer. In 1 Kings 3, a young King Solomon is offered anything he wants by God: wealth, power, long life, victory over enemies. Solomon asks for none of those things. He asks for wisdom. Because Solomon understood something most rulers never do. The ability to discern, to judge rightly, is worth more than any external advantage. He wasn't confused about what to ask for. He was clear on who he wanted to be. That's the key phrase, who he wanted to be. Solomon didn't make a pros and cons list. He made a values-based decision, and history records him as the wisest man who ever lived. So what are core values, really? They are not goals. Goals are destinations. They are not rules. Rules are imposed from the outside. Core values are the internal operating system of your character. They are what you instinctively protect, even when no one is watching. They are what causes regret when you violate them, even if you got what you wanted. Research by Shalom Schwartz at Hebrew University identified 10 universal human values, things like security, autonomy, achievement, benevolence, that exist across cultures and history. These aren't preferences, they're the architecture of a life. Think about a time you made a choice and it felt wrong, even though it looked right on paper. Maybe you took the promotion, but something in you quietly died. Maybe you stayed in a situation everyone told you was fine, and you couldn't breathe. That dissonance? That's the gap between your decision and your values. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of Rome, the most powerful man on earth. He could have done anything, but his personal journal, what we now call meditations, shows a man in constant dialogue with his values: reason, duty, virtue, equanimity. Every decision he writes about runs through the same filter. Does this align with who I am? Not with what I want, with who I am. He wrote, "The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." His compass wasn't popularity, it was principle. That is the power of values. When you know them, clearly, deeply, decisions stop being dilemmas. They become clarifications. So here's how this actually works. 3 steps. Step 1. Name your non-negotiables. Take a quiet moment, not in the middle of the crisis, but before, and ask, what are the 3 to 5 things I would refuse to compromise, even if refusing cost me something? Maybe it's integrity, family, creative freedom, financial security, service to others. Write them down. Not a list of 30, 3 to 5. Maximum. Specificity is what gives values power. Psychologist Kelly McGonigal at Stanford found that people who operate from clearly identified values show measurably lower cortisol, the stress hormone, when facing difficult choices. Your values literally calm your nervous system. Step 2. Run the decision through the filter. When the choice appears, stop. Don't react. Don't scroll. Ask one question. Does this align with, or does it move against my core values? Not, will this make me happy right now? Feelings are weather. Not, what will people think? That's noise. Just, does this fit who I am? When Joseph was a slave in Egypt, Potiphar's wife repeatedly pressured him to betray his master and violate his integrity. Joseph had nothing, no status, no freedom, no leverage. But he had values. He said simply, "How then could I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" He didn't make a complex calculation. He ran the decision through his filter. The answer came immediately, and it cost him his position, his freedom, and years of his life. But it preserved his character. And history records that his integrity ultimately elevated him to second in command of the most powerful nation on earth. Your values are not a shortcut to the easy path. They are a shortcut to the right one. Step 3. Trust the answer and move. This is where most people stumble. They know the answer, they feel it, and then they second guess it anyway. Here's what I want you to understand. Doubt is not wisdom. Sometimes doubt is just fear wearing a suit. Research on post-decisional regret consistently shows that people who make choices aligned with their stated values report significantly less long-term regret, even when those choices led to difficult outcomes. The pain of values-aligned failure is survivable. The pain of values violating success is corrosive. Read that again. Sit with it. I want to tell you about a man named Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist who survived 4 Nazi concentration camps, including Auschwitz. He lost nearly everything: his wife, his parents, his manuscript. In the most dehumanizing conditions imaginable, the Nazis could take his freedom, his possessions, even the people he loved. But Frankl discovered something that became the foundation of a whole field of psychology: logotherapy. He wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." Frankl made a values-based decision in the most extreme context possible. His value was meaning, and that single, clear value gave him the internal compass to survive what most could not. You are not in a concentration camp, but you are in a world that, relentlessly, tries to tell you who to be, what to want, and how to measure your worth. And the only way to resist that, quietly, steadily, without drama, is to know what you stand for. When you have that, a clear set of values, you stop needing permission. You stop needing everyone's approval before you move. You stop lying awake at 2 a.m. replaying the same decision for the 14th time. Because you have a compass. And a compass doesn't debate with you, it just points. Here's your challenge before you close this video. Take out your phone, open your notes app, and write 3 things. 1. The 3 to 5 values you refuse to compromise. 2. The decision you've been overthinking. Write it down in 1 sentence. 3. Run it through the filter. Does it align with your values? Yes or no? That's it. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. And clarity comes not from more information, but from better questions. Proverbs says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." I'd add this: where there are no values, the decisions scatter. Stop outsourcing your inner life to circumstances, to opinions, to fear. Come home to what you actually believe. Come home to your values. Because that's where your next decision is already waiting. Clear, quiet, and certain. I'll see you in the next one.